Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. This is the 9th edition of the Romanian Film Festival Seattle, which was organized in collaboration with the Romanian Film Festival in Arizona. And they're having their second edition this year. This is a discussion panel for the documentary Woods, which was directed by Monica Lăzurean-Gorgan, Michaela Kirst, and Ebba Stenzinger. Unfortunately, Michaela Kirst was not able to come today. She's filming, so we're happy for that, but we're gonna miss her. So Monica is a producer and director. She, among the films that she produced, she was the delegated producer of Adina Pintulia's Golden Bear winner, Touch Me Not. She also directed the documentary A Mere Breath, which was the winner for Best Documentary at Sarajevo International Film Festival. We're also happy to have this discussion moderated by Mona Nicoara, who is a filmmaker, writer, and educator. She has worked as a producer and director herself on many award-winning productions, including Children Underground, which was nominated for an Academy Awards for Best Feature documentary. And her directorial debut, Our School, was also well received and well awarded at many festivals. Wood is currently available to stream online in the US through November 27th. So please watch that if you haven't already, and please share that with your friends and family. And we're gonna go ahead and start the discussion now.
Hi, thank you very much, Gabi, and I'm very privileged to be here with Monica Lăzurean-Gorgan, whom I've known, I followed for many years before I actually got to know her. And I'm still sort of trying to figure out how to work with her. Like we keep intersecting and doing, wanting to do things together. Because she is an extraordinary filmmaker, actually, in a landscape which, you know, for a small country, Romania is actually filled with extraordinary filmmakers, quite crowded, considering the size of the country. But Monica sort of worked on all of these different aspects of filmmaking, for directing to producing to working on documentaries. She also worked on fiction films, and you sort of like never know which is the main hat that she's wearing. And this is one of the places where I want to start our conversation. You have directed this film, but you're also producing Mihai Dragola's film about wood exploitation. And how do those roles differ? And you're dealing with like actually a very complicated, difficult situation, dangerous in many ways. Mihai Dragola and his crew were actually beaten up. You yourself had to negotiate moments that, you know, clearly you can feel that, you know, they're uncomfortable there. So how does this work, and are you different people in those moments? Is it the same person that's working? Yeah.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for this complex first question.
Yeah.
So basically, I would say I would start with another hat, which is the activist hat, because the activist hat made me do this film Wood. I initiated the project. I did the research by myself. It went for many years, and I'm happy I did the film. And for me, I felt it's not enough that I did for the cause of the forest, for protecting the forest from illegal cutting or from industrial cutting, from abuse, disappearance of the forest. So when I spoke with Mihai Dragolea, who's another director having a similar topic, I encourage him maximum, and I said, you have all my support. I don't feel that I have to juggle between hats, or it's like I said, okay, I'm there, I'm helping you, and I am helping him. And it was an awkward moment for me as a producer, because I said, I'm helping you as a producer, as a creative producer. It was awkward when Mihai Dragolea called me in September to tell me, please also call the police, because I tried to call the police and I'm not sure.
That was September last year.
Yeah, last year, sorry.
Yeah.
Because somebody is beating up in the middle of the forest in Romania, in an area that's supposed to be safe and okay. So that was like, okay, I said, I will never, support my directors and push my directors to, to embrace the cause without extra safety measurement, because they were checking, they knew where they go, so they had security measures, security, yes, in the back of their minds, they had that. But yeah, that happened. So what I can also add is that in Romania, it's not that dangerous to go in the, in the forest or to follow this cause. It's not that dangerous as in Russia, as in Peru, as in China, for example, where we also filmed with the film Wood.
But it still is very strange for us, and probably for a lot of the people who are watching the film here in the States, was the nostalgia of sort of the Romanian woods and the Transylvanian nature and the Transylvanian mountains, to actually see it as a site for violence, not just as a site that's endangered, as an environment that is endangered, but as a site for violence. And that's sort of like very hard for Romanians who live abroad to remember in some way. And the film does this very well, sort of reminds us that this is not just what we project on it about our own past, but it's something that is actually a place whose future is endangered, and a place that people are fighting for now. And I want to return a little bit to where this activism came from. You're Transylvanian, right?
Yes, I'm from Oradea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I never had the moment of, okay, now I'm activist, now I believe in this and that. It's obviously that I'm of course into nature a lot. Of course that a forest for me means a lot, and it's something very personal. It's giving me a lot of tranquility, and I can easily find myself and enjoy nature fully. So I think it's it's from there. I love nature truly, deeply. So this is my way of, I don't know, responding or trying to do something. And one of the thing that I most admire is being a real activist, like the NGO people. The NGO people are like the ones that they are doing wonders, and we don't see it, but they do incredible work, and the burnout, it's very high, and so on. So yeah. This is my brief answer. Yeah.
So you're saying that you did all the research for the film and you started the project yourself, and then how did everyone else come together? Because this is a film, that's co-directed and co-produced by you. together with a much larger team than usually. You're very collaborative. You're very collaborative with your directors. You've also co-directed before, right, for the Daci, the Dacians film. But how did this particular team come together?
Yeah, so basically after doing the research a lot, I said I need to make the film somehow international. I don't want to make a film that just a national audience will watch it, because it was not, I mean, we had TV reportages or pieces from journalists that were very good on this topic. Mm-hmm. So I wanted, you know, like a more international film. I was naive at that time, and I said, with this international film, maybe the film, it's a tool for change. Mm-hmm. We can put pressure through governments, through European Union. We can put pressure on the Romanian legislation with a film. So I still believe a film, especially a documentary film, can be a tool for change. So that was my mindset at that time. And I said I need to make it international. So I approached Eba from Austria, because I knew before being a producer, Eba was also an activist together with her husband. And she loved the story, especially there were Austrian elements in the story. And then she said, let's find, you know, a broader team. And then she knew Mihaela from Germany, who did an Arte film for Arte, yes, with Alexander von Bismarck. And she said, okay, let's check Alexander von Bismarck. We all believed he's a good character for the film. We approached him, and I said, okay, in Romania, there is this situation. Would you like to come and see? And he said yes. It took some time for him to be able to find the space in his schedule to come in Romania. I prepared everything in Romania. And when he came, of course, I took him here, there, meeting with NGOs and everything. And after he said, definitely Romania should be a country where we should return and help you out and do partnership with Romanian NGOs and so on. So this is how we brought an NGO person in Romania because of the film. Mm-hmm. And we were observing and filming all their trips, all their actions in Romania. And as we speak, they are actively working in Romania, coming every, I don't know, 6 months, 1 year, and doing all this kind of partnership, including with the Ministry of Environment. So they are still connected to Romania.
There's something very relevant for a very broad audience here, because it's I think it's very interesting to see it when you're like in the States or when you're somewhere else, to understand that, you know, things like lumber liquidators, like all of these big companies that we don't think of, you know, the same way that we don't think about, like, you know, that pre-made hamburgers, where they come from, you know, in the supermarket. It's the same thing. We don't think about, you know, where the big companies source their wood, and it's very interesting and eye-opening to watch it from afar and to understand that this is not just something that happens in Romania, but it affects things that we know here, for instance, in the States, that we know around us. And it's clear that there's, like, you know, there's pressure on these companies to change their practices. I also know that you did an app for tracking wood carrying trucks, lumber carrying trucks in Romania. What other pieces of impact have you had? Not that, you know, making a film isn't impact in and of itself and having it seen. But I'm curious if, I'm sure the audience would be interested to know if there's what kinds of impact you can have with such a film, and how far has it gone so far up to this date?
So one, while doing the film, they were filming with their own hidden camera because this is their way of working. I'm talking about Environmental Investigation Agency, the NGO that Alexander von Bismarck is the head, the manager. And they were collecting evidence in order to put them in a report. And by the end of their work and research in Romania, to come with a big report saying, okay, dear press, dear police, dear government, this is our evidence, this is our report. To this extent, this is illegal logging in Romania or illegal activities regarding wood and logs and timber. And while documenting this, something came out, and they wanted to change the Silvic law to be more flexible and permissive. So I immediately called Sasha, Alexander von Bismarck, and I said, okay, we have a situation here, and it's very terrible because they will lose the transparency, many things. So bad changes in the Silvic law. And he said, okay, what about showing the evidence and what we filmed earlier than the report? And I said, whoa, that would be very helpful for Romania. I don't know about you, if it's you know, changing your plans. The report was not ready yet. They were in the middle of the work. And he said, I don't care. Let's go for the cause. Few days later, they came in Romania. I organized a press conference. I think it was the first press conference I organized. I was all shaking. I didn't know if the press will come. You know how it is. And we released 5 minutes of what they filmed. And it's part of the film with the big company saying, yeah, bring illegal wood, we don't care, just bring it here. And that was like went viral, like it went, I mean, the press covered it very well. So that was a moment when we put pressure on the, you know, and then we were invited in the parliament. And again, we talked there. So, and 10 days later, it was a protest in the streets only for the forest. It was the first protest ever in Romania, people saying we need to protect our forest. So while making this film, we had this small, you know, and the Silvic law did not change in that particular area where we were concerned. So that was one. The second one, oh, let me remember, because we had, I mean, we used this film in few meetings, in few situations, and Romanian NGOs learn a lot from the American NGO. This exchange was very fruitful, and the way Alexander, it's not like that kind of NGO who's like hiding themselves by a tree in the forest, but it's more going on a diplomatical way. Mm-hmm. So he was like having meetings with the Ministry of Environment and so on, trying to, you know, put pressure. And later in the process, the company who was having the majority of the work of the wood being processed in Romania, and this is not okay to have a majority, you know, like more than 60% of the entire logs being processed in your own factory, not having it spread in smaller factories. we managed, to put on an international level, to put a bit of pressure with new evidences, but this was already the work of the NGO. So it was not our work, it was not necessarily the film, but the NGO continue this work, and they are doing it as we speak.
And that's a lot. That's a lot. Usually just making a film is enough. Somehow the universe has conspired, or the industry has conspired to actually put pressure on filmmakers to also have impact in addition to making a film, which I'm, myself as a former activist, I'm of two minds about. But you actually had very, very specific impact. In Romania was this particular film.
Yeah, that was a specific situation. And with the app, it was not us that we did it. It was Bogdan Micu, a brilliant guy who did it. And now Bogdan is continuing going to Peru. They advance with the government over there. They are doing the same thing in Congo. They want to go with this app as deep and as in as many countries as it's possible, because it's a very simple app and extremely transparent. So it should be handy to everybody. But of course, there are interest in not having it that transparent.
And what is going on with the other documentary that you're producing on the topic?
Okay, the other documentary, it's on the same topic. It's still on illegal logging, but it's following some activists, Romanian activists, by two directors, Mihai Dragolea and Radu Mocanu. We are, I would say, in early production, so we still have long way to go. Things are, are moving slow in this regard. After they were being beaten, of course, they consider it a lawsuit, and they want to follow what is going on in this lawsuit. And the case is being rolling in that specific area. They asked to remove the case from that specific area because influences and pressure,
because of corrupt courts. Let's
say because of high level of corruption in some areas. Yes. And they didn't manage to remove it and to put it, I don't know, in Bucharest or in faraway city. So now they struggle, and they are being very hardworking following the case, because there are all kinds of issues in the case, and they are covering that with the filming. And they start being characters. Since they were being beaten, the camera turned towards them, not just towards the activists. And now they are like, okay, what's going on? Because they are both activists, also filmmakers and activists, but not.
That's every documentary filmmaker's nightmare, to become the subject.
Yeah. So now they are in this process of fully embracing being also protagonists.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. We have a comment for Heliana who's saying that she loved Wood and its neo-colonial angle and will watch it again. And that you thought that Bogdan was and is awesome and an inspiration. I'm wondering, are there any other comments or questions at this time, or shall we? Yes.
So I had a question, I guess. I think it's really great that, it's had such an impact, the documentary itself, and, that there was an impact even before, it officially came out. I was just wondering if there's any plans to, maybe have it distributed on a wider scale, like even maybe like Netflix, because I know, sometimes like they put on some documentaries and then they just kind of become viral. Like, you know, it really kind of inspires people to, you know, take a bigger role on the things that, you know, they can impact in their lives and the lives of others.
Yeah. Yes, we are in discussions. We have a sales agent of the film, and we are in discussions with some streamers. So for now, I cannot say for sure if it's Netflix or if it's HBO or other streamer, but hopefully soon. I also hope that that soon we will know.
That's great. Yeah, well, please let us know, because we'd love to, you know, let others know about the film.
Sure, sure.
Yes, and it needs a bigger streaming platform, because everything these days is on streaming platforms or online, like this part of this festival. So it does need that kind of exposure, sort of doing what we used to do, right, as documentary filmmakers originally, when we started doing cinema, you know, showing the films in cinemas in a few festivals, getting a little bit of traction, was sort of enough. And sort of traveling was the film was enough. Now traveling is increasingly rare, and one needs sort of these big streamers, which are very picky, mostly obsessed with celebrities, sports, and true crime. So it's becoming a very complicated proposition, actually, getting a film that is socially engaged to be seen by a broader audience.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And yeah, I can just, you know, not add on top, but just say absolutely. And they are interested in true crime, music, and sports, and celebrities, and biography.
Yes.
Yeah, just crossed my mind. But we will fight, definitely. We will fight for having it online also.
Have you been in touch with organizations here in the States that could actually help distribute through their activist networks the film?
I have to, yeah, we have to catch up with Sasha also, because they also screen the film in some cases for their own you know, talks and everything. So we have to, we have to catch up and say what where they cover it in US, and do a better strategy for the North America territory also.
Because I think that the audience here would be very interested in finding out actually about where their own wood is sourced. Like, nobody actually asked that question. Once in a while, there's like a big scandal about Harvard owning right, the virgin forests in Romania that were actually filled with illegal logging and unloading those forests onto other owners. Was it IKEA that they unloaded on?
No, IKEA bought it from them. They just bought.
Yes.
Yeah. The problem was with papers, with original papers,
Yes.
from original owners.
Ownership. Yes. Yes. I mean, there's, which brings me to an interesting point for me as a filmmaker. Romanian filmmaking is usually known, like if you say Romanian film these days, you know, you're known for like a certain kind of artsy, very slow moving film that talks about big issues, but it's sort of very small and philosophical at the same time. And then you see this whole new generation of documentaries, you know, your film, Collective, more and more sort of go in the direction of investigative activist films that are not sort of retreating from and meditating on the world, but actively engaging with the world. And I was wondering if whether you have any thoughts on that, because it seems that the world is starting to, you know, our small filmmaking world that used to be small enough that it was unified, now it's dispersing in all of these directions, some of which are starting to clarify and solidify, as for instance, you know, art house cinema versus art house investigating documentaries. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I would not say it's fully investigative documentaries. I would still see them as you know, creative documentaries, but of course with the investigative touch. For me as a producer, I'm so very happy to see this diversity blooming. And I have quite few directors, and each of them, it's very different in the approach, in visual, in filming approach than the other. So the projects that I'm working now are very different, and I enjoy that. I love that a lot. I love that, to, you know, to jump from one to another and to see that they have the courage that few years ago they were not having. They were like following one kind of recipe or something. But in documentary, that's the beauty. You can do whatever. I have like one film that it's now a journal, 3 very personal films, observational, archive, 2 only on archive. So I have all kinds, and I love that. And it's a sign of maturity in the film industry, the small film industry that we are having. So I'm happy to work on all these projects.
Yeah, I agree. And since you're talking about all of these different kinds of films that you're producing, I understand from those who work with you, it's a small world and everybody talks, that you're actually very supportive and enabling and sort of allowing your directors a lot of freedom, and you're basically a good producer for other directors. And I have a question for you that has to do with you as a director and you as a producer. How were you as your own producer? It's one thing to produce others, but how does Monica Lăzurean, the producer, relate to Monica Lăzurean, the director, when you're working on a project? Are you good to yourself? Are you?
Yeah, I guess I am quite generous with myself, or I learn by years to be more and more generous with myself. My problem is now that I'm giving priority, I'm prioritizing other projects that I'm taking and not mine as director. It's, I don't know, a responsibility that I feel for the others, and I have to be there. But somehow I say, okay, leave it, because you know what you are dealing with, so leave it later. And this is not okay. Now I start to feel it. But I'm not, I mean, except that I'm not organizing enough to find time for my story, for what I'm following now. Other than that, I'm not letting my directors, as you said, to do whatever they want. I'm very behind them. I'm like, when they turn, I'm like, yeah, but when they don't look, I'm like, I'm behind you, I'm checking you to see what you are doing. So it's not that, it's I need to know that they are going to the right direction with the right approach and everything. You know, we talk and we have a very creative and very good discussions, but it's good to, to have a close connection in all the steps of the production.
So since you brought up projects that you are supposed to be working on, but not working on so much, which are those projects? What are you working on now?
God,
Can you say? It's okay to also say I'm superstitious. I don't.
Yeah, no. When you said you're supposed to work for your project, I was like, God, that sounds like,
Sorry
about that.
Sorry.
Really. Yeah, so it's very brief.
I'm projecting probably from my own relationship to my own work.
Yeah. So very brief, but I'm not there yet. I'm not close to finalizing it. It's a film, but it's more a bit of an essay. So maybe it's slow, not too slow. No. So it's not like wood, but it's again back to nature. So again, I could not stay away from nature somehow. So I'm doing on the nature of hunting. We are hunters. We kind of are predators, and in the same person we are civilized, and we know our limits, and so this contradiction in the human nature. And so I'm following one young hunter in the forest. And I'm trying to reflect, while I'm following him, I'm trying to reflect on the ethics of documentary film hunting, because we are also hunting stories and images and people with our camera. So, and I'm reflecting on the ethics of documentary filmmaking.
That's very interesting. So the hunter is from Romania?
Yeah, but there are also, the main hunter is from Romania, but there are hunters who come from Germany and all other countries who talk in the film.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Do we have other questions from the audience?
I have one more question. I guess it's related again to distribution. I think I'd read somewhere that there was a bit of a shadow that Schweizhofer tried to cast, when the film came out. So I was just wondering, if they tried to restrict, some of its distribution in Europe or in Romania, or maybe, in Austria directly.
Yeah. So in Austria directly, yes. We got support from the national television in Austria, and they put pressure not to let the film roll on the national television in Austria. And it was poor Eva, she was, I don't know, for more than half of a year under this stress. So it was quite of a hassle. And it was not the way to go. So because they are afraid for their image in Western countries and in their own country. In Romania, they are not anymore, because in Romania, somehow in general, the reputation, it's not there anymore. So they don't have a good reputation. In Romania, they asked, just in one situation, when I got an interview on a magazine, they asked the financiers of the magazine, so not the magazine head directly, but the financiers, to remove the article with my interview. And they said no. I mean, but that was a thing also. So yeah,
it's interesting because this is a test also for journalism in terms of the coverage, not just in terms of what you're following in the film, the journalistic investigation that you're following in the film.
Yeah. So I'm sure they tried in every way, like legal or, like to cover their image. There were pressure, but not directly, not directly towards us.
Any other questions? I think if there are no more questions, I think we can conclude here. Thank you very, very, very much, Monica. I hope this is an interesting addition to the online screening. And Gabriela is saying congratulations. Monica, great journalism, such an interesting documentary. I hope everyone will have a chance to watch it. We hope it actually travels far and for a very, very long time. It seems to be a film that unfortunately has longevity. The issue will be there for a very, very long time. And the film will be there to actually shed light on it. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Monica. And
thank you also.
See you next time with the hunting film.
Yes, thank you very much. It was a very nice discussion, and thank you for the questions, and thank you for seeing the film.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mona and Monica, for coming. And yes, please let us know. I definitely believe that this film should have wider distribution, and I think it's it would be well received, definitely, especially in the US. So thank you everyone for coming again. We have more Q&As with great directors in the following days, so please join us. And once again, Wood is available to stream through November 27th, so please give it another watch. Thank you all.
Bye.